many celebrities like settling or spending time in Ireland specifically because generally we leave them alone. We don't think they're anything special. It's something that's always intrigued me as a culture. We don't do self-promotion. We wrestle against someone that appears to be too big for their boots. In fact, there's nothing we like more than to cutting someone back down to size. And there's a cracking story about a megalomaniac world leader called Nebuchadnezzar, who as he was scanning the horizons of his great empire, the hanging gardens of Babylon, the palace, all the things that he'd made, he declared this. And we're told in Daniel he said this: "Is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence, by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" Here is the personification of arrogance. "Look at what I have built," he said. He'd already been warned in a dream by God through Daniel that he was like a giant tree with its top touching the sky, with beautiful leaves and providing far-reaching shelter for many. Yet he'd been warned that he would be cut down if he continued in the pride and arrogance. So before the boastful words had left the mouth of King Nebuchadnezzar, his authority was taken away by God until he recognized the King of Heaven. He was driven from his people. He ate grass like an antisocial wild animal. His body was drenched with the dew of heaven. His hair became long and his nails like claws. You see, there are risks and even madness in pride. The Apostle Paul called it the darkening of the mind. One of the people I've been reading, Lennox, says this, that when human beings reject God, they die spiritually, and that death touches, spoils, distorts, twists, and eventually destroys all that makes human life what it is. From moral to aesthetic, from family to relationships to work, rejection of God leads to the death of a civilized culture. And as King Nebuchadnezzar reflected on his experience of being humbled by the King of Heaven, he calls God this name, and this is the name I want you to take away today. He calls him the Most High God. He says that his kingdom is an eternal kingdom. His dominion endures forever. His sanity returned only when he acknowledged who God was. Listen to what this once megalomaniac prayed. "All the peoples of the earth are regarded as nothing. He does as he pleases with the powers of heaven and the peoples of the earth. No one can hold back his hand or say to him, 'What have you done?'" And then he has this stunning acknowledgement at the end of the chapter. "Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and glorify the King of Heaven, because everything he does is right and all his ways are just, and those who walk in pride he is able to humble." And there's a cautionary note for us, isn't there? Because we need to be aware that if God can humble someone like this guy, Megamind, if you like, he can humble you and I. And perhaps he's been doing that in recent times, stripping away our comfort blankets, exposing how uncertain life really is. One of the commentators' favourite guy I like to read, Davis, says this, that whenever God brings man to the end of himself, smashing all his props and wasting his idols, it is a favourable moment indeed, if he will but see it. Here, Jesus, the humble King, Son of the Most High God, as he was announced by the angels at his birth, as he was born in a stable. In humble means he came to serve, and he died in our place, so that all men will bow down one day, including Nebuchadnezzar and any other world leader. We all have to decide how we are going to respond to his reign. He is the King who humbled himself even to death. He deserves our praise because he died in our place so we could choose life. And he's the King who put others first and calls us to do the same. May God bless you today. I'm your host, Matt Tuttleby of Bundoran Bible Reflections.